Morning,
All right.
everyone. We're so excited we get to hear from Jan McMillen today. Jan, take it away.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We'll see if we can go smoothly today. Seems like every time I talk, there's a glitch. We almost had one this morning also, but Trish figured it out. So my subject matter for today is addiction. That may be a little different than what you're normally used to, but I hope it all comes together and you understand why I went down this path today. So I don't know, a lot of people have had addiction in their lives. Sometimes I'm probably addicted to sugar, but I've had addiction in my family with basically alcohol. My dad was a World War II pilot. They partied hardy, and he was able to get off it though, led a healthy life. My brother, same way, hit the bottom of his marriage, threat of divorce, turned his life around and was able to kick addiction. So the addiction I'm gonna talk to you about, which caught my attention, was actually the addiction that was happening in the late 90s, early 2000s with OxyContin. You've probably all heard of it. I never was prescribed it, thank goodness, as I watched a trailer that came out, or not a trailer, it was a mini series on Hulu, caught my attention because I did have the OxyContin addiction affect our life with a lifelong friend. Their son, who was the same age as our son, was in high school at the time, and it was being abused. It was obviously prescribed for people that needed it for pain, but it was also one that, of course, kids and people figured out how to use it to get high. Anyway, he got addicted. I couldn't figure out why it was so hard for him to get off of it. Went to 3 rehabs. They had the means to send him to the best. They sent him out of town, so he got away from the triggers, his friends that actually triggered his use made him want to use it more. But he did finally get off of it, but I couldn't figure it out. But anyway, this just came out, this trailer, this mini series, and it piqued my attention because of that. Because I didn't really understand it at the time. Like you said, this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. So just a little bit of a history of OxyContin. 1996, Purdue Pharma actually launched OxyContin. They actually targeted doctors in West Virginia and Kentucky because of the coal miners and all of the injuries that they would have working in the coal mines. So another interesting fact was that there was only 39 FDA employees that oversaw 34,000 drugs. So you can imagine that wasn't a very controlled environment, they couldn't oversee that many effectively. So the pharmaceutical companies were on the honor system, if you can imagine. So the FDA examiner that actually approved actually secretly got together with this Purdue Pharma and wrote the promotional material with Purdue Pharma, that wrote the promotional material on OxyContin, and the label that was saying it was less addictive. And that was the key. That's why it was so overprescribed, because the label on the drug approved by the FDA said it was less addictive. And that was the very first time that a class 2 narcotic was ever given that label. Now, the definition of a class 2 narcotic, it says it may lead to severe psychological or physical dependence. So it's a very, very strong narcotic. And the other interesting part was to show you how corrupt and untrue all these statements were. This FDA examiner who oversaw the approval of OxyContin actually left the FDA and went to work for Purdue Pharma with a $400,000 salary. So they actually the other thing that Purdue Pharma did, they distributed a promotional video testimonial, if you will, called "I Got Back My Life." It had about 7 patients on it that told how this medicine, this drug, improved their lives, got their lives back, all the things that pain will inhibit you was taken care of because of this OxyContin drug. So, but unfortunately, after interviewing these 7 people, half of them, at least half of them, became addicted to it. And this immoral thing that they did was these patients during this PSA video did not ever say they didn't ever name OxyContin as the drug they were taking. It was actually dubbed in after the testimonial video. So at this point, I want you to go ahead and play the, I was going to have you play it earlier and I forgot. So go ahead and play. It's just a 2-minute trailer just to give you a feel for this.
People all across this great nation are in pain. They have hard lives.
Are you still sore?
I can't work here no more.
I'll be all right.
And we have the cure. This new miracle drug, OxyContin.
You will be the largest sales force in pharmaceutical history. Make your doctors feel special. Take them to expensive dinners. Bribe the receptionist with a mani-pedi. Whatever it takes to win their trust. Your most effective talking point are these magic words.
Less than 1% of people get addicted to OxyContin.
That's not possible.
I can't live like this anymore.
I'll start you on this. Call on a miracle drug. You only take 2 a day.
I think I can make this the biggest drug in the world.
You think maybe that medicine might be just a tad more addictive than you said?
That's not what we're hearing.
Something is happening here. There might be a unique situation brewing.
A pharma company is lying about their medication.
We have to go after the makers of OxyContin.
My patients trusted me. I can't believe how many of them are dead now.
We're going to do everything in our power to make sure justice is served.
We're going to cure the world of its pain.
So that was just a little trailer, but it was really, really, really moving. Yes, it was actors, but it was based on true stories of true people that actually were affected by this this drug. So in 1999, it showed there were 400,000 people who admitted using OxyContin for non-medical purposes. In other words, to get high. By 2003, there were 2.8 million. And in 2000, September of 2000, OxyContin passed $1 billion in sales. So it was huge. And it was the claim that 1% of the users, only 1% of the users became addicted. That was false. That actually was the reason why doctors were so excited to prescribe this medicine. And they prescribed it for toothaches. They prescribed it for headaches. It wasn't just for acute pain, which is what it should have been used for. And they also had they proclaimed that they had a study on that proved that point, that only 1% of the users became addicted. And they didn't. It was false. There was absolutely no study. It was a doctor that wrote a 5-sentence editorial that was published that did a very small study on a group of patients just in a hospital setting, controlled. And he made the statement that it seemed to be less addictive, and that blew up to be, we actually have a study. So and it was taught in medical schools. I mean, you can see how corrupt this was. And then finally in 2001, the FDA made them put what they call a black box warning on the OxyContin label, drawing attention to the fact that it's being misused and abused. And they had to actually remove the words delayed absorption on the label. And the delayed absorption part of it was the reason why they told the FDA that it was non-addictive. In other words, the delayed absorption didn't cause the peaks and valleys that you have with other addictive drugs. It was more of a even absorption. So for some reason, that's why you wouldn't be addicted to it. So anyway, as a summary, so we had a corrupt pharma, corrupt FDA. They opened up pain clinics. This is what's so sad. They opened up pain clinics that were funded by Purdue that only prescribed OxyContin with refills that were given away freely. I mean, you could just go in and say, I have back pain, and they prescribe this drug to you. They targeted doctors to flip them that were using other narcotics to the OxyContin drug. They gave to anyone for any reason, like I said, mild to acute. The dosage was based on the level of pain, anywhere from 10 milligrams to 160. Hospitals would get sued if they didn't offer it to manage pain for patients. They'd get sued. Can you imagine that? Their label was false. And here's the reason why it was so addictive, that why I couldn't understand why it was so hard for our friend's boy to get off of. It actually damaged and altered the front lobe of the brain. So, I mean, it damaged it. Can you imagine? And it took 2 years for that to finally heal after you were off of OxyContin. So it was a physically damaging drug as well as psychological. So this is why what caught my attention about this. Not only was I curious about this drug, but actives. We have an answer to people not getting on opioids. Now, we don't know how many pills we'd have to take care of acute pain, but it would certainly take an edge off of pain. We have lots of testimonials, true testimonials of people that their pain has been removed, knee pain, hand pain, arthritis. I mean, really back pain. So we have the answer. It's non-addictive, and it's truthfully non-addictive. We have real studies on our ingredients that show the benefits. We have truthful labeling. We have a corporate leaders with integrity. Purdue Pharma didn't. It was all about the money. They were absolutely had no problem lying or misleading the public. We don't have deaths. We don't have the list of 20 contradictions to taking drugs that you see when you get a prescription or they advertise something on TV. There's like a list of 20 things that can happen, and the last being maybe death. So can you imagine? So we have the answer to that, and that's only with our anti-inflammatory drug. We of course have other or supplement. So you've probably all been, the more we go on, you've probably all had someone that said, well, I have to show it to my doctor. I have to get an approval from my doctor. Well, we need doctors doctors are smart, doctors are important. We need prescriptions. There's some prescriptions you need. But doctors, we all know doctors don't know know much really about supplements. And so we have to just be polite and say, well, that's fine. I appreciate that you're going to do that. They may not know much about it. You can show them the ingredients, but that's okay. And then and you probably had the question, or if you haven't had the question yet, is it FDA approved, right? Is it FDA approved? As if the FDA is our watchdog, and if it's FDA approved, then it's going to be totally safe. Well, you can obviously be very polite and say, no, if we're not, most supplements are not overseen by the FDA. They don't approve it. If we were, we'd have to be labeled as a drug or a food, and that's a whole different ballgame. But in your mind, you can say, oh my gosh, I'm glad we're not approved by the FDA. So I don't know, there's lots of other things you can probably add in there about our products and what a gift they are to people. And, people won't get addicted to it. They work. Like I said, someone may have to take more, like, maybe 4 a day, 6 a day, whatever. But our supplements work, and we have such a gift that we can give people so they don't have to go on these opioids, because Oxycontin obviously isn't the only one that causes trouble. So, but anyway, that was my point for this discussion today, to show the comparison.
So it's a $630 billion industry. So if you don't know who to talk to, everybody,
yeah,
everybody's either on something, has been on something for simple things, a broken arm, headaches, women have babies, things happen that are not, I'm addicted to drugs, but they just need to be on a medication. Every time we're on one of those heavy medications, it takes a toll on our kidney, on our liver, and those things can be helped by having nerve 2 activation in our body. Having Optimum in our body is such a perfect solution and answer to I think it was $35 billion of that is strictly the top 3 types of pain medication that are so harmful. And to be able to take care of mostly acute pain, but even some chronic pain and some chronic situations with our Optimum is huge. The side effects might be, you might sleep better, you might recover faster, our side effects are amazing. Our side effects are amazing. So share. This is a little different angle today. Thank you, Jan. And everybody have a great weekend. It is active school tomorrow, so get together with whatever teams you can. Let's participate in that. We get a rare opportunity to hear from Dr. Rish Patel, which ironically, he is a pain doctor. So I'm sure you're going to hear a little bit of a piggyback on Jan's talk today from Dr. Patel's perspective on how Active's products are a better resource. So it's a great thing to invite guests to. We actually have some guests coming to watch it with us, I think, tomorrow. So that will be really fun. So you can bring guests or you can bring yourself, but don't miss Active School. It's going to be great. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And let's continue to build and share. We have tools that can save the world.